Hi, and welcome back to Fair's Fair! Backstory time! Once upon a time, there was an incoherent pile of random fanfiction that consistently got more and more sticky, moist pages from around the dump. Growing in size, eventually it coalesced into a person. At the same time, a bottle of whiskey fell over and spilled. It was so sad that it was empty that it gained a soul and became human, endlessly seeking to fill itself with alcohol once again. These two, in today's modern day and age, have become known as Rian Johnson and the Critical Drinker respectively. Fast forward a few years where absolutely nothing of note happened, and Rian Johnson has made a movie that sucked. No, not that one. No, the other one. Yes, that's right. Well, Drinker responded by pointing out how bad it was, specifically a flashback that was of a previously shown scene. His point being that they changed the past in the movie. Yet again, I say, if the events from the past can't be trusted, then there's no investment, stakes, or identifiable line of story progression. It makes sense as a criticism. Then someone literally calling themselves Pillar of Garbage, oh ye irony, it doth overflow, claims that that was a lie. Don't leave the video, there is a point to this.
We get there when we get there!
Shortly thereafter, the EFAP podcast spent 4.5 hours destroying the video. Problem solved, right? Almost.
We were this close.
At the end, the pillar of garbage, said that the scene wasn't changed but had intentionally been cut in several places to obfuscate what happened in what order, which, to be totally honest, is still shitty storytelling and should be avoided where possible. But lo and behold, despite holding the appropriate line that the added girl should have been seen over Buffman's shoulder, EFAP conceded the point by saying that the poor editing had confused the drinker, basically claiming that what he said was correct in spirit, if not in actuality. Unfortunately for the EFAP crew and the people who were on that EFAP, this is wrong. So buckle your seatbelts and try to keep up, this is gonna get confusing fast. First appearance of the scene, from now on titled Scene A. Buff guy watches girl getting with rich man. He spins around due to a sound of a snapping stick, and then looks back. And we see Benoit Blanc poke his head out. Then we move on. Scene B, the second coming of supposedly the same events, shows us that now we see the buff guy watching the girl getting with the rich man. Benoit Blanc and Ally lean out to watch before Ally runs for a better look, breaking a stick, which is the noise that makes him turn around, see nothing as they had re-hid, and then he turns back, followed by the part from Scene A where Bento Box leans out on his own. Now, Drinker had shown Bugle Bros lean out on his own, then them leaning out together. But as laid out, the single lean happened after the stick sound, while the double lean happened before. This could have just been tricky editing. They cut the double lean out from Scene A so that Ally wouldn't be there. This presumes that this bit of them both sticking out was simply not shown to us, and the film decided to purposefully remove a section of the timeline to mislead the audience. It's a pretty shitty idea of how to keep things a mystery, and definitely lazy writing, but I guess being lazy is cool in the way of the future now. Though the end bit should have definitely had the Ally visible over the buff guy's shoulder, so Drinker could still be right, but he only showed the leaning discrepancy. EFAP's concession of this point that the leaning had not been altered didn't sit well with me. Something wasn't lining up with them just cutting the info out, so I had to go back into this movie to see what was up and find out if my inkling was based on a real problem or confusion caused by the way the pieces were cut. After a few viewings, I eventually found out what was leading me to be a bit confused, and I'd like to thank Rockfan243, a dedicated subscriber and constant commenter on my videos. You said, both under the High Guardian Spice and one of the Castlevania videos, that sound design is a big thing for you, and it's thanks to remembering to listen to the sound that I got my smoking gun. Also, shout out to this poor High Guardian Spice fan, fighting for their life in my comment section. It's okay, I'm sure you'll get that season 2. But listen here to the snap that Mound of Refuse used to point out that the two leans were on either side of it. This snap is a unifying piece. But it's the timing on that snap in Scene A that kills this debate. The snap sound plays while the camera is facing Buff Guy. But that sound was made by Ally moving to a new spot from behind this shrub, which means that we absolutely should have seen them leaning out and her moving behind him. The evidence is irrefutable from the very media being discussed. There is now only one option: that the scene was altered to play out differently later, to gaslight the audience into believing events had happened in a different way that contradicts what actually did happen. Whether it's the audio or the video is irrelevant. The events were changed from how they were originally shown. The critical drinker was right. For doubting him, you all owe him a drink. And because you let Pillar of Garbage gaslight you, I had to go back into that movie, so I'll be invoicing you for the fair clones that killed themselves when forced to watch that movie. And if you need any further proof that Ryan can't plan a movie for shit, he originally intended this not to be the real Mona Lisa, only to realize that his finale doesn't work if it isn't. But reshoots and planning your story are for competent filmmakers. Hope you all learned an important lesson about audio, timeline analysis, and planning your story. Let me know in the comments as you like, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter. Do you agree with my analysis? Did I make a mistake or miss something? Is there anything you'd like to suggest for videos? No promises. But if you're a Rian Johnson fan who's mad that I pointed out that a criticism of his work was valid, then you too can hit the comments to be entertainingly angry.